create jobs, specifically within our depressed areas, our townships, amongst others, and supporting small and medium enterprises. The first indicator really talks to events that we coordinate around culture as well as the creative sector. We had targeted about 10 such projects in support of the creative sector, and we delivered all 10 projects. And the other one was to support global business services hubs, which are your call centers in our townships. We had planned to support 2 such global business services hubs, and we were able to achieve that particular target. And there were also some projects that we implemented in relation to sector development programs, and this one, it's really about developing and supporting small enterprises. And then the next one also talks to supporting small and medium enterprises through business as well as supplier development to make sure that our small and medium enterprises are able to respond to demands within the market for goods as well as services, including the goods and services that we need as a department for us to function. And then the other indicator really talks to renewable energy. We've made effort in partnership with energy producers. We had targeted to bring about 200 megawatts of renewable or alternative energy into Gauteng, and we were able to exceed that and deliver 550 megawatts of renewable energy. And then the next slide talks to liquor affairs. As you'd know, we have a responsibility to regulate the liquor industry, to maximize whatever revenue we generate out of it, but also to make sure that we deal with the ills related to the use of alcohol, abuse of alcohol. And in this particular instance, we had to make sure that all operators comply with our legislation in this regard. And we targeted about 10% compliance of all of these operators within the industry. We're sitting at about 11.35%. And as part of our responsibility in dealing with challenges and problems pertaining to the use of alcohol, we convened awareness workshops targeting specifically the LGBTQIA+ community. We had planned 2 awareness workshops, and we were able to deliver all of those workshops. And in relation to consumer affairs, we had to make sure that all the cases that are referred to the Consumer Affairs Court, which are complaints from consumers of various goods as well as services, that all of those cases are dealt with by the court. And we also had to make sure that we support our small, medium enterprises to comply with consumer-related legislation. And we did so by capacitating them. And we had targeted about 300 of our SMMEs. And we've capacitated all 300 of these SMMEs. And we are also on a drive to recruit consumer champions amongst our youth. We had targeted to recruit 50 of such consumer champions, and we were able to achieve that specific target. And then the next slide talks to governance. We have to at all times make sure that our entities comply with legislation and that they execute their mandate as per agreement between the department and themselves through the shareholder compacts as well as their annual performance plans. And when we did that compliance check, we were able to establish that they'd achieved all of those elements relating to compliance. And then the other program is intergovernmental relations and strategic partnerships. We had set ourselves a target of 1.2 billion in terms of rand value of economic benefit generated through partnerships with the private sector. And these are various programs that the private sector undertakes in partnership with ourselves. But it's basically budgets that the private sector has, and it relates to the work that they do. We simply support and direct them to respond to the needs within the areas within which they are operating. And we were also expected to generate an intelligence report for the entire province on the district development management model to basically give a sense of what economic challenges and opportunities that exist in the various districts within our province. So we're able to generate that intelligence report accordingly. And then the next area, it's inclusive economy. Under inclusive economy, the first indicator relates to the amount of money that we spend from our budget on research and development. It was 0.9%, and we spent exactly that. And the other indicators talk to the implementation of broad-based black economic empowerment in relation to supplier development, as in capacitating and developing suppliers. We were supposed to spend 0.2% of our budget. We ended up spending 4.52% of our budget. And around enterprise development, the target was 0.1%. We spent about 3.89% of our budget on enterprise development. And then the next one is around socio-economic development. Our target was also 0.1%. We spent just 1.03% on that. And then there's also the issue of extending broadband coverage to our townships. We had targeted extending these services to 45 of our townships, and we were able to ensure that all 45 of those townships have a broadband coverage rather. And then the last indicator under inclusive economy talks to the number of projects that we undertake within townships as part of township economic development. There were 10 specific projects that were targeted, and we achieved all 10 projects. And then the areas where we underperformed, the indicators that we did not achieve are the following. You'd remember I had mentioned that we had challenges in relation to some of the elements of triple BEE, which is broad-based black economic empowerment. The first one is around the amount of money that we spend from our procurement budget on infrastructure development. And the next one relates to township, the value distributed to township enterprises through infrastructure projects. And then lastly, around the goods and services that we source from our township enterprises. This indicator, both ourselves as well as our entities had reflected that we've achieved this specific indicator, but when it came to the portfolio of evidence that we presented, that portfolio of evidence was rejected by our auditors as not being credible and not being a reflection of the achievement of this specific indicator. So we've had to go back to the drawing board to look at internal mechanisms as part of continuing to implement triple BEE within the department, and we are currently also reviewing the operating model for the implementation of triple BEE. And the other challenge is that, for example, around goods and services sourced from our townships, we are sitting at 3.5% 57% against the target that we had set of 60%. And the challenge here is simply that the type of goods and services that are required by the department as well as our entities are not provided by our township enterprises. You'd remember earlier on, I spoke about supplier development as well as enterprise development. So these are some of the efforts that we're putting in place to make sure that we capacitate and prepare our small and medium enterprises for them to be able to respond to market demands as well as our requirements in relation to goods and services, as well as the implementation or delivery of infrastructure projects. And then the next slide, we had set ourselves a target of generating about 75 million through our liquor regulatory processes. We've slightly underachieved. We're sitting at about 71 million. And we've recently adopted an enhancement, revenue enhancement strategy, and we've automated our processes, and these would yield better results, and we're seeing some of those results in the current financial year. And then lastly, there's an effort that's driven by the department to transform the liquor industry to ensure that it is reflective of the demographics and the different groupings within our province. We set ourselves a target of implementing about 30% of the charter, but we're not able to achieve this because the charter had not been adopted as yet, so we were not in a position to begin implementation. So we've started processes that would lead towards the approval or an adoption of these transformation charter, and this would involve engagement with stakeholders as well as members of the public. And then the next slide talks to governance. You'd remember that I'd indicated that in relation to our entities, the entities within the department, we were not able to achieve our targets around the spend on our budget. We managed to spend 89% of our budget against a very high target of 95%. And this is as a result of the delays in the procurement processes for these infrastructure projects, as well as the high vacancy rates in some of the entities. But this problem in relation to vacancy rates has been sorted out, so there's concurrence, and our entities are gearing up to recruit and fill these vacancies. And then the next target really talks to the performance, non-financial performance of our entities against a target of 95% that we had set ourselves. We were only able to achieve 88% for the same reasons that I had indicated earlier, but also in relation to our Gauteng Gambling Board, we were not able to achieve set targets around revenue generation as a result of a constitutional court judgment that impacted adversely on the ability of our agency to achieve the targets for revenue. And then lastly, the indicator around the amount of money that we spend from our budget on skills development. The target was 6%, so we've slightly underachieved. We're sitting at 5.66%. So we will make sure that we accordingly spend, at least we meet the minimum requirements, which is 6% of our compensation budget. Chair, members of the Portfolio Committee, that concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the presentation by the department. This is for the department's own financial year plan. And I think at this stage, I just want to hear from the department. Would you like to receive questions now, or would you like to wait until you've done the presentation with regard to the agencies as well?
Saying, Chair, if we do it now, the implication is that it may take longer and the agencies might not be able to present.
Okay.
If the Chair says they present,
Okay.
and then we can take all the questions.
Right, let's do it this way. Can we ask the agencies to present? Next agency will be, the first agency will be the
We request we call GTA.
Gauteng Tourism Authority. Thank you very much. Thank you. So the Gauteng Tourism Authority will be the first agency to present their financial year results and statements. Thank you very much.
Can I start? My slide is there. Okay. Good morning, Chairperson. Good morning, the honorable members of the committee, and good morning to all present. My name is Mohammed Tshwane. I am the Chief Financial Officer at the Gauteng Tourism Authority. I am supported this morning by the chairperson of the Gauteng Tourism Authority, Ms. Judy Nwakedi, and I am also supported by the chairperson, Chief Executive Officer of the GTA, Ms. Satembiso Dlamini. I will be presenting the annual report, the performance information and the financial information for the Gauteng Tourism Authority for the financial year ended 31 March 2024. Can you go to slide 17, please? Thank you. So in terms of our performance information, we are constituted into 3 programs. The first program is our strategic support. That is, firstly, so our targets were the percentage of GTA spent on enterprises that were owned by women. And our target was 30%, and we achieved 52%. The overachievement was due to increased activities that was funded through our various partners outside of our normal funding. In terms of procurement spend on enterprises that are owned by the youth, our target was 10%, and we achieved that. In terms of percentage of procurement spend on enterprises owned by persons living with disabilities, our target was 5%. We underachieved, unfortunately, with 1%. Some of the reasons were that there was a low response from companies owned by people living with disabilities. What we are doing in this current financial year to address this and to achieve our targets, we've designed a program, a supplier development program to enable companies owned by people living with disabilities to participate in providing the GTA with services. In terms of spend of paying invoices within 15 days, we underachieved with 36%. And the reason being is that while finance was paying invoices 100% within 15 days, the target measurement is from the time the invoices come into the authority. So we have self-corrected this financial year, Chairperson, in that all invoices are now sent only to finance and not to the managers within the authority. And I am pleased to report that currently we are paying invoices in this financial year 100% within 15 days. Moving on to our second program, which is destination marketing. So in terms of the Gauteng Brand Index scoring, the target was 45% and we achieved 89%, mainly due to the implementation of agile and high-impact brand programs and investment in marketing projects. In terms of the number of international distribution channel sales initiatives implemented, the target was 4 and we achieved 4. In tracking the number of international arrivals that visit Gauteng, the target was 1.6 million and we achieved 3.9. This overachievement, as well as for the next target, is due to the travel industry recovering post-COVID. In terms of total foreign direct spend generated from international markets, our target was 13 billion to be generated in Gauteng, and we achieved 42.7. The number of domestic trips taken in Gauteng, our target was 4 million, and we tracked 7.5. In terms of the total direct domestic spend generated in Gauteng, the target was 10.8 billion, and we tracked 18.8 billion. Staying with program 2, the number of domestic tourism sales campaigns was planned was 3, and we achieved 3. The number of international business events bids submitted, we achieved that target of 15. The number of events that were hosted in townships, we hosted 9 against a target of 8, and the overachievement was again due to us leveraging strategic partnerships. The number of new airline routes launched, the target was 3, and we achieved 3. Moving on to our last program, Chair, which is the destination management and development. The number of job opportunities created through tourism projects, 3,500. The actual achievement was 787. Now, Chair, during the course of the year, our internal tracking showed that we were indeed meeting our targets. However, when the time came in terms of the review of the POE, there were certain gaps identified, which was in terms of the individual job forms. This now has led to the entity going back during this financial year to self-correct and to improve in terms of the POE that we present. The number of tourism enterprises that benefited from capacity building programs, we overachieved with 80, and that was due to us leveraging partnerships specifically with Airbnb. The number of SMEs that participated in business development incubator programs, we achieved 50 against a target of 30, and this was due to our partnerships with DSTV Delicious Festival, which enrolled more SMEs than was planned. And then the number of SMEs provided with access to markets, it was 290 against 150. This overachievement was due to exhibition organizers returning after the COVID-19 pandemic. Okay, if you can go to slide 25, please. Okay, in terms of the financial highlights, I'm pleased to advise that the Gauteng Tourism Authority achieved a clean audit opinion. What that means is our financial statements were free from material misstatements, and there was no material findings in terms of our performance objectives or non-compliance with legislation. We recorded a deficit of 12.7 million rands. And the key driver was that in financial year 2023, unutilized conditional grants that have been utilized during the current financial year 2024. In simple terms, Chair, what it means is that funds that were received in financial year 2023 was expended in financial year 2024. That was the main driver. So our total revenue increased from about 130 million to 159 million in financial year 24. Our total expenditure increased from 135 million to 171 million. And at year end, our unspent conditional grant balance reduced from 32.6 million to 12.1 million at our year end. And Chair, that's my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Mr. Nabo, which agency will be next? Right, the next agency is then Dinokeng and Cradle of Humankind World Heritage Site. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chairperson, honorable members of the committee, my colleagues, CEOs, CFOs, and officials. Dumelang batswadi ba ka. Just to say, Chair, that we are Cradle and Dinokeng project. We have been established by the third administration to intervene in the poorest wards in Gauteng. And our jurisdiction of the project is more in Far East, Tshwane or Pretoria, and in the West End. But I think there are lessons to be learned which can be applied because the nature of projects that we do are similar in all the areas. Let me also recognize our municipal leadership, our councillors and the MMC, and our MEC in absentia. Let me also thank the department because as Cradle and Dinokeng, we were entities of the Department of Economic Development, and after the latest elections that constituted 7th administration, we have been transferred to the Department of Environmental Affairs, which is a new department. And because we are in transition, Chair, Treasury has given instruction that we can only change our administration in the new financial year. So you may see the duplication of reporting in the Department of Environmental Affairs committees. Chair, we had a total number of 24 indicator targets which we had to report on for the year 2023-2024 financial year. Out of that, for Cradle, we had 13 planned targets and we had 11 planned targets for Dinokeng. A total of 23 indicator targets were achieved in the Cradle, and 1 indicator target was not achieved. I must indicate, Chair, that it is not that it is not achieved. It has been achieved, it has just been delayed because we have to report according to the Cradle of Humankind World Heritage Site. The 23-24 financial year was 96 as at the end of March year, and 4% was the one that was delayed. Now, Chair, shall we move to the third slide, please? To date, we have achieved 100% of all the targets, so except to list the outputs that we had for the year. You may be aware that Cradle of Humankind in particular is registered with UNESCO as an official on behalf of South Africa to provide interpretation on the human origin. Therefore, we are of universal outstanding value, and we have a responsibility to provide interpretation and to protect the environment within the jurisdiction of the project. We do so by also doing water monitoring, which we have also achieved, as I indicated, that is 100%. Natural resource management, protecting the fossils that are in the area of the Cradle. We also have a target in doing so of job opportunities. We have achieved that target. Because of our protection to the area, we also have economic activities and hospitality activities, including the mountain bike trails and cycling economy in the area, which we have achieved in the financial year. Roads and cycling maintenance we have done to ensure that the integrity of the Cradle of Humankind is protected. Shall we move to the next slide, please? In protecting the Cradle of Humankind, we also make sure that there is community beneficiation. We create jobs, direct and indirect. We create jobs through employment of local people in the area, but we also encourage investment that create indirect jobs through hospitality in those areas. So we have achieved the targets we have set for ourselves. Now, we don't just protect the area, but we also make sure that it create and attract investment in the area. And we also provide interpretation in the area. With the target that we had set ourselves for 88,000, we overachieved with plus 19,849 through the provision of interpretation in Maruping. We have also, remember in the history of COVID, we had a challenge that people were not allowed to visit some of our museums. We have recovered, and as a result, we have overachieved, which has given us more revenue through MAL. Next slide, please. To comply with BBB, we have fully complied with that. It's also required by legislation. We've been able to look after the vegetation. Vegetation, we protect the animals that we have also created the jobs through in the previous years. In this case, we also and the restaurant in the area. The slide, I will just give an example of the type. With the protection that we provide and the government injection, we do pay suppliers within 30 days. We also do those projects that we must all learn in the look after our environment so that we can create opportunity.
Will come up this presentation.
agencies, our DDGs and our HOD. Can I please move the presentation myself? Which are around our mandate and the overall performance. So the GG over the years, through our regulations, the development of our regulations, and at the present moment, we are protected around the risks of gambling that the youth, especially children within schools, who are members in which to reach South African Responsible Gambling Association, which is a really good facet, is around revenue. And I guess in Tshwane is that ka tjhelete ya gambling ngemali treasury, and leo mali, some of that money iyagu sasa, iyagu ma grant abantwana, iyagu sasa, iyagu di granting tabana, ibleng iyagu di petlele di kliniki tsele thusang mo di communities tsa lena, iyagu ma policing, it goes to the police, iyema poiseni abazivikelayo against crime, abasizayo emphakathini. Also, what we do, we are a regulator within the gambling board. So, reshebile di casino, di bingo, ntwersa shebang ke fafi, because molao wa rona how extended to bo fafi. However, re pleada le lona gore la le bapala mo China, lo bapale responsibly. Mara re tla fitla ko in terms of our legislation. I hope la nkutlwisisa. So ke boletse kare our BE licensed operators, we have really tried over the years. And the development of this iqadile in about 2016. Har decided ho re tlontsha about 43 licenses. The LPMs and as well as bingos. So we started with these and the bookmakers in particular. We started saying, Hore, if anybody wants to apply for a bookmaker's license, they've got to come bale transformed. Kumele baze ne entity eguti is transformed in abantu bamnyama, in abafazi, in abantu aba disabled, kubazekile, abantu bakubazekile. And then they can meet up nama operators who have the skills, who have the technical know-how to assist them. So, siyazama, we are progressing in terms of ensuring that we do transform this particular industry. But we're asking that you bear with us in terms of transforming, in terms of our legislation. In terms of percentage increase, in terms of our gambling tax collection, over the years we've done very well, reaching about 1.8. And overall, since our inception of the Gauteng Gambling Board, we have collected about 18.6 billion. And if we round it off, we'll say 17 billion. So, and what we've done with money, it's basically, we are a conduit and it goes towards treasury. So, since we've been trying to pick up, but what's also happened is, I'm sure some of you do know your betways and online betting, which has really overtaken land-based casinos, land-based bingos, land-based LPMs and bookmakers. In that bit, but we are working on it, as I said. So moving quite along, I would like to go to in terms of our programs. So in terms of the first program is really about building a capable ethic and developmental state, which really stems from the current seven outcomes of the state, and this one will be the third one, the third deliverable, which is about ensuring that we have a sustainable and capable state. So in terms of our supply payments within 15 days, we fell short. Our target was 100%, and we've gotten to about 99%. And I think, as Ntate Sakhetere said, or I think it was the CFO of GTA, to say our shortcomings is really from the time we receive an invoice. And some of these challenges are third-party related, because our suppliers, we've got to make sure that they have, before we pay anybody, we've got to make sure all the documents are in, all the inventory that they say they have supplied to us is correct, so that re ska ba ra patala tjhelete ko bathong ba sa tlisang, ba sa deliverang the services. And then procurement towards women, our target was 40%, but we overachieved to 54%. Towards youth, it was 30%, we overachieved 2.7%. Towards disabled people, it was 2%, we overachieved by 26%. I think where we've overachieved, I will not take it there, but I'll go to the 3 that we have not achieved within the past financial year. So another good thing that I'd like to inform you about is in this particular region, in Tembisa, we gave away 9 bingo licenses as a whole within the Gauteng Gambling Board, and one of the bingo licenses lies within this particular region. So it will contribute towards the economy of this region. In terms of increased the economy and jobs and infrastructure, and according to our gambling revenue, I did say that we have fallen short because of online betting. And so against our target of 16%, we achieved 2%, and which is an improvement from the previous financial year, which was 22-23, where we raised R1 billion, and in the last financial year, 23-24, we raised 1.2 billion. We overachieved, and this is quite important, on the target of illegal gambling, which is another sore point. Some of you do, if you do gamble, you gamble in illegal sites. It's not your doing, it's because you're probably not aware that the site is illegal. And there are many pointers that you can tell where there's no sign of under 18, where it's not cordoned off. And so we overachieved on closing down the gambling spaces, so we overachieved this against a target of 400. We overachieved it by 438. Just bear with me, I'm almost done. Please, thank you. We overachieved on food security against a target of 24 to 27. If I can leave it at that, Honorable Chair, I will, not unless you'd like me to continue. It is quite a lengthy presentation. Is that okay? Thank you. Thank you.
Right. Thank you very much. So next presentation will be by the Gauteng Enterprise Propeller.
Good afternoon, Honorable Chair and also honorable members. The leadership of the department led by the HOD, the CEOs of the entities, the senior managers and the executive managers present here. Thobela setjhaba sa gešo. Nka se tšee nako e ntšhi with my presentation. I'll just go through the highlights that we had for the previous financial year. We had 16 performance indicators for the financial year 2023-2024. We achieved those. I'll just go to the highlights that are also reflected in our. If I can go to slide 12. Overall, like I indicated, we achieved 100% of our performance indicators and targets. We had an unqualified audit opinion with only material findings on our findings on the non-financial performance. Also, we managed to approve funding worth of 348 million to SMEs. Our debt collection, we closed off at 47% against a target of 20%. In that period also, we managed to assist 2,416 small enterprises across all the sectors of the economy. The 100% achievement of the performance indicators and targets, which is inclusive of the targets that were related to procurement spend on women-owned small enterprises, youth-owned enterprises, and those enterprises that are owned by people with disabilities. We managed to disperse 134 million of the loans that were approved. It's 89.6 million actual of loans and 44.7 million of the grants thereof. A total of 101 unemployed youth provided with internship opportunities. So through our program called the Youth Accelerator Program that responds to the 100,000 program that was initiated by the province in 2014. Of particular interest to this gathering, I wouldn't go through the array of the performance indicators like I've already indicated that they were achieved. I'll go to the achievements that we have for Ekurhuleni and the city of Joburg for the year under review, starting with the Township Economic Partnership Fund. Through that particular program, we have assisted 15 small enterprises in the city of Joburg with a total of 59.1 million approved for those particular townships in terms of loans. I wouldn't go through the details, but the highest number of small Cosmo City Township. In terms of Ekurhuleni, through the program, we assisted 158 small enterprises. The approved loans were 154 million. The biggest number are those that are in Tembisa. As you will know, Tembisa is a big area. In terms of direct support to SMEs in Ekurhuleni, township-based SMEs, we provided loans worth of 3.8 million to 7 township-based SMEs. Thokoza, Tembisa, Cradle, Fosloras, and Duduza, with a large number of those loans going to Thokoza at 1.4 million. In terms of business development support provided in Ekurhuleni, the beneficiaries is 283 small enterprises with a value of 3.2 million for that particular period in townships. Katlehong, Davidton, Fosloras, Tembisa, Wattville, Palm Ridge, Thokoza, and Duduza. Grants were given to 71 small enterprises with a value of 2.5 million. Townships thereof are Katlehong, Davidton, Fosloras, Tembisa, Wattville, Palmridge, Thokoza, and Duduza. I'll go to the support given to small enterprises in Joburg directly. Yeah, in that metro, we gave 3.4 million worth of loans to 10 township-based small enterprises coming from Soweto, Ivory Park, and Galfontein. In terms of business development support, we supported 31 small enterprises. The township thereof is Rockville, Rivoli, Meadowlands, Deepkloof, Protea Glen, Klipstreet, Mapetla, Bramfisher, Dobsonville, Eldorado Park, Nale. The money thereof was 781,000. The grants benefited 109 small enterprises. The money spent there is 2 million. It's almost like similar townships like the ones that benefited from the business development support interventions. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much.
Oh, gonna. PDF. That's what I'm thinking. Like it's on PDF. Get it, it's on PDF.
Afternoon again. Chair, thank you for the opportunity to speak to the year-end results of the prior financial year. Afternoon to committee members. The Gauteng Growth and Development Agency is a group of companies. We'll get into what the companies are all about. And present here is the chairpersons of the boards of various companies that we have, the CEOs, and afternoon to all the EXCO within the department, and thank you, HOD. As mentioned, the GGDA's mandate is quite broad, and this can be this slide, if it is visible, gives a depiction of the group as mentioned. We do have a group board, and underneath the group board is the board of the various entities. The first one being the Automotive Industry Development Center. This is located in the city of Tshwane. It's in the north, and its focus is on the automotive industry. Next to it, still in the Northern Corridor, in the center, is the Innovation Hub Management Company, and this focuses on three sectors, one being the smart industries, largely ICT and technology, followed by economy. In the Eastern Corridor, we have what we call Gauteng Industrial Development Zone, otherwise known as the OR Tambo special economic zone. It's in the Eastern Corridor along the N12, Jet Park specifically. Lastly, we have the Constitutional Court is based in Braamfontein, across from Parktown. So this, the Gauteng Growth and Development Agency, the mandate is quite broad and diverse, will be appreciated. Now, in the last financial year, we managed to achieve just above 80% of the objectives that we had set for ourselves. And in that respect, there's only 6 matters that one will go into that we did not achieve. It sought to begin to address some of the questions that were asked, and there was a question that related to jobs that were created by the group. And overall, we did indicate that there's about 16,500 jobs that were created, and we are providing the disaggregation. We noting that outside 98 jobs that we couldn't categorize, 23 that we facilitated, the 16,000 was actually youth, and the other 35% were those above 35% or 5,800. We're noticing that the males were 3% of the overall jobs. Females were 16%, and the unallocated jobs were 41%. And we are providing reasons as to why we have not been able to provide age classification of those jobs. On the training side to things, we are reporting the training that is undertaken by the Automotive Industry Development Center in the north. There's 1,900 such trainings or individuals that benefited. The Innovation Hub, on the other hand, trained 113 people. Gauteng Industrial Development Center zone actually trained about 7, and we'll get into the detail of the specificities of what training entailed at the Gauteng Industry Development Zone. The whole is largely responsible for investment facilitation, trade, infrastructure leg to it. And we can report that foreign investments that were facilitated were just above 50 billion. And we'll get into the detail of those investments that were in. Domestic investments worth just around 30 billion were reported. Trade, meaning exports, were around 7 billion. We assisted about 57 companies. We matched them with expansion opportunities, largely in the continent, but also in the rest of the world. On the infrastructure side, we'll show some pictures of, we call it Biosciences Park 3. It's the third building focusing on the biosciences economy that we did not manage to complete, and we are providing reasons as to the cause for the delay. There's 58 local subcontractors that benefited from all the construction projects that we have. And at the VAL, we did manage to attract about 2 billion, just above 2 billion worth of investments. Lastly, there were industrial hubs that we managed to complete, and these were 2 in the Southern Corridor in Dinokeng, 1 in Chamdo in Mogale City. So that is the work that was actually done by the holdings company. So speaking to the investments and the jobs that emanated from those investments, well, it's not going to go into detail, but we can report that in the Eastern Corridor, there's Actom, there's Terraco, there's Mirai Rail, Score Metals in Alberton, Velocity, Vantages in Isando, Fine Star, and KSB. Those are the jobs, values that were invested. In the Central Corridor, we had Redial, we have the Pepesa, it's business processing, outsourcing kind of work that we work with the association to assisting its members. There's Jindal, there's Horizon Coms, Cummins is based in Waterfall, Foursquare and Evergreen. So these are specific investments that we could safely say we assisted, and this the values they invested and the number of jobs that center work for Redial. The industrial parks, I've mentioned that we had rolled over 3 that we managed to complete. In the current financial year, there's doing, one being at Mdeni in Soweto, Kansa in Tembisa, and there's 2 in Roslyn 1 and Roslyn 2. So those are the industrial parks that we will be refurbishing in the current. And we are busy with condition assessment and will, out of that, develop bills of quantities, go to market to appoint a contractor to do the work. This is the one building that it can be seen that there is traction that was made. Unfortunately, we couldn't reach the milestones that we had set for ourselves, and part of the delay being the details designs that needed to be done, approved by council, be given to the contract and the like. The project subsequently was riddled with problems, and it came to a stop sometime this year, and will be coming to the committee to account as well as to the status of that project. The Vista Center also, this is just a picture from a distance, which also came to a stop, and it is being revived because the PRTs will be appointed now in this month of October. So next week sometime an award will be made and construction will then recommence in due course. So that is the situation at the holdings company. The picture up there shows the Automotive Industry Development Center at a distance. So number of factories, the focus is on the automotive industry, and we can report as follows. That we did train 285 young people who are unemployed, and those that are employed by component manufacturers or car makers is 1419. There's 238 candidates that were assisted to be declared competent as artisans through the trade center that is located in this site. We managed to assist component manufacturers and also original equipment manufacturers, car makers, to improve or enhance their productivity to the rate of just around 46% improvement in their production processes. We also have incubation programs, and the incubated companies that are supplying to car makers managed to generate 122 million. One is, the other one is at Nissan, both in Pretoria, as we know. We assist 62 township-based companies in various ways, particularly in the skilling program. And this offering has now been extended to other localities. Hopefully, this area will in future be better. Also have automotive, township automotive hub. One is based in Winterveld in the far north, the other one in Chamdo in the Western Corridor, and those companies that operate there just realized around 2.5 million and so on. So that is the work that was done. This is a better picture of the automotive supplier park in Roslyn. There's other sites here that would still need to be developed in future. And this sample of the work that is undertaken with Tiger Wheels and Tire, this is in Chamdo. The Innovation Hub, on the other hand, and there were specific questions relating to this that we'll try to answer. 12 solutions were provided to companies and government insofar as challenges that they would have. It's a platform that we have through which we're linking solution seekers and solution providers, the providers being largely companies that are incubated within the Innovation Hub. We also assisted 67 companies to register intellectual property rights. So those that are innovators or inventors, it's quite important that you trademark your ideas, and we do provide that service. 10 innovative products were produced through what we call Product Development Lab, and we have 2 labs, one at the Linwood campus in Pretoria, the other one still in Pretoria, it's in Mamelodi. And this facility only seeks to expedite or fast track the process from ideation to market. So if you've got an idea, we provide the technology and other support, including manufacturing space for you to produce technology or other ideas that you have in an effort to shortening the time it would ordinarily take for innovation to go to market. There's 64 product-ready innovations that were incubated. So those are the companies that were in incubation. 12 of these companies were actually assisted to export, and 9 of these companies were assisted to graduate. And there was a question around graduation, and the response is simply that the focus previously was on cash flow looking backwards. So a company needed just to prove that it could generate positive cash flow for 6 months, but we have since extended this to cover other financial ratios, including profitability, solvency, liquidity, asset test, and the like. That was the Innovation Hub, and we have mentioned that we have ECASI labs. In the central corridor, we have one in Alexander, one in Tembisa, one in Soweto, Danny van Zyl, also in the central corridor, and also Categoras. The number of people or companies incubated in Tembisa are 22, and in Categoras it's 32. In Soweto, 26, Danny van Zyl 3, and Alexander 22. So that is the companies that are housed in both the central and the eastern corridor, and we are listing part of the offering, including technical business mentorship, access to market opportunities, access to funding, and the like. Those are the services through ECASI Labs. The Gauteng Industrial Development Zone, which is based around Jet Park, like it was mentioned, 7 interns will get into what training they were provided with. There's 2 precious metals cluster that became operational, and 51 SMMEs that benefited. The one matter that was not achieved has to do with bulk installation in a further development site that we call Precinct 2, also in and around the OR Tambo Airport. Now, in terms of jobs, there's 4,300 jobs that were created by this site, the first precinct, and we are giving the breakdown of how many are permanent and how many were in construction vis-a-vis those that are through operations. The training that were provided for the young people that were mentored, including being skilled in electrical engineering, facility management, science, communication, finance, and the like. So those were the specific areas in which the 7 young people were provided mentorship in. These some of the buildings which are now completed. One would have hoped to have more of these buildings. There's over 12 buildings in Precinct 1 that have been completed, and that precinct is now operational. The Constitution Hill, on the other hand, one mentioned that is in Braamfontein, bordering Parktown. There's visitor numbers that we are tracking, and over 63,000 visited the site in the last financial year. There's 11 million, which is the impact that was a result of the 2 signature events that we host there. One being Basha Uhuru, that happens around June in celebrating the Youth Month, and also the Human Rights Month in March. There were this number of public programs, 95 public programs that we undertaken, and this involves school children, but also workshops and capacitation building for those in the arts and the creative industries. In the creative space, 1,187 companies or individuals benefited from all the offerings that the offerings by the Constitution Hill. Lastly, there was a question on the creatives, and we can report that 403 creatives were assisted to gain market access, and 64 were given, we do have a recording studio there, and were given access to that studio. The upskilling, we have already touched on the 172 individuals that benefited, and we do provide the detail as to what the workshops entail for those that are attending. So there's exhibitions, there's business compliance workshops, and music, film festivals, and the like. So that's where we will end it, Chair. Again, thank you for the opportunity to account before the public on how the public funds as appropriated for this agency were utilized. Thank you again.
Thank you very much for the presentation. I think we have only one agency left, and then a presentation then on the township economy as well. I think the last one, Mr. Naba, is the Tshwane Special Economic Zone. Is that right? Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, colleagues. Thank you, Honorable Chair. I'll attempt to be brief in telling the TASA story, which is the Tshwane Automotive Special Economic Zone. The outline of the presentation, Chair, would be, for context, a brief background on TASAs, and we delve into the TASA's achievement for the 23-24 financial year, and we briefly outline the achievements over the last 4 years, and then lastly, it will be what's next for TASAs. In a nutshell, Chair, TASAs is a collaboration between the three spheres of government, being the Tshwane municipality at a local level, GDED at a provincial level, and the Department of Trade and Industry nationally. And going forward, a decision has been taken by government that this is going to be the approach they'll be using in implementing a special economic zone. So it was established in May 2020, as I've indicated, through the IGR agreement between the three spheres of government. And as you would see, it's anchored around the automotive industry in the main to support the automotive and the growth of the auto industry. So it is the fastest growing as we've built the special economic zone. The voice, okay. It is the fastest growing SEZ in the country, having been developed within 2 years. And it exists, of course, to attract investment, in the main foreign direct investment, as well as ensuring that we increase the local content, as currently the country within the automotive industry is sitting at 39% local content with the target of reaching 60%. So one of our role is to ensure that we assist the industry and government to reach that target. Of course, other than that is to support and broaden economic participation as one of the key elements in ensuring that SMMEs and skills development are achieved in the process. Just briefly, as the business case, how TASAs was formed. Around 2017, when we got a green light, it started off by when Ford Brazil and Ford India closed down, and it did not mean that Ford volumes were going down globally. But then a country needed then to take the volumes that are lost by Ford by the closure of Ford Brazil and Ford India. So in the running, you had South Africa as well as Thailand, which the two countries had to split. Of course, Ford then indicated that for them to bring those volumes to South Africa, what needed to happen, they will promise to invest $1 billion, which is about 16 billion rands, if the government can commit on two elements. One, the development of the special economic zone to house critical suppliers to Ford. Secondly, because Gauteng as a province is landlocked, as you can see, the growth of Ford volumes from 160,000 to 200,000 vehicles per annum, that additional 40,000, it will be difficult seeing that we are about 1,000 kilometers from the coast, and about 2/3 of the 200,000 will be for the export market. It meant, therefore, you needed an efficient port and an efficient rail, which was the second target and the promise by government. So we ticked the box for the first one, hence we are here giving progress on what TASAs has done. The next one, in the 23-24 financial year, the Tshwane Automotive SEZ had about 9 indicators. We glad to say we've achieved all 9 indicators. And first one being where we took a decision, because there is a bigger element of SMMEs that we're dealing with, where we put ourselves a target of 45%, and therefore to speed up the payment, especially for the SMMEs, we gave ourselves a target of 14 days turnaround time. The average has been about 7.9, just less than 8 days. So with regards to clean audit, as you can see, we've got a clean audit. SMMEs that have been mentored, as well as the training of SMMEs within the automotive industry. The investment that we've put ourselves, the target was 500 million. We achieved about 918 million in terms of the investment in the last financial year, as well as a 42% procurement spent on construction. Now, if we just give fact sheets over the last 4 years in terms of achievements, government, through the 3 spheres of government, put together about 4 billion to develop the Tshwane Automotive SZ. The private sector invested 5.6 billion, which became a catalyst as a result of the initial catalytic investment by Ford of 16 billion. And then for our phase 2, we've completed phase 1. For our phase 2, Ford also became a catalyst as they are transitioning from internal combustion engines to hybrid before they do full electric vehicles. During construction over the last 4 years, we created about 5,100 jobs. Could have been more because of the speed at which we needed to develop the Tshwane Automotive SZ. Some of the construction happened off-site. Permanent jobs are currently sitting at 3,333. And across the supply chain, because of that additional 40,000 vehicles built by Ford and the construction of the Tshwane Automotive SZ, you have 10,000 additional jobs across the supply chain, because all of a sudden you've got more leather, more plastic, more steel, more paint, more everything, more rubber to do the additional. So we've created 10,000 additional jobs. 1.7 billion has been spent on SMMEs during construction of the program. And in that process, when it comes, of those jobs were given to women and youth, about 61%, and people with disability, we had just less than 1%. As you can understand, it's difficult for construction to sort of fully accommodate people with disability. With the permanent jobs, women are sitting at 31%, youth 65%, and people with disability more than 1%. Just briefly, it's our second last, we're almost at the end. With regards to the SME participation, for that 1.7, we trained about 370 SMMEs, of which 265 benefited from the work packages that were created during that period, and which amounted to about 43% of our procurement spend, and of which that 1.7 billion is divided into 6% benefiting businesses that are owned by women, 18% businesses that are owned by youth people, and 2% businesses that are owned by people with disability. Of course, some of these, we were able to achieve the construction within 2 years of 12 factories. We started off by engaging the communities and ensuring that we sign a social compact where we identified the principles, basic principles that govern the social compact, where we agreed on 7 pillars. I'm not going to get into details in terms of those 7 pillars, but except to say the first pillar, it's on a stakeholder engagement to ensure that we establish the rules of engagement. As you understand, some of the delays we experience with programs and construction projects that are done in the township. Second element is to ensure we give a commitment in terms of employment during the construction, of which close to about 70% were jobs given to communities in area target 1, which was surrounding the project. With regards to skills development, we had to set up targets and ensure the SMMEs, the individuals that will be participating as beneficiaries, are trained adequately so that we do not compromise the quality of what gets delivered. So another element is on SMME support. As we've indicated, we've ring-fenced 43% of procurement spent for construction for SMMEs. Community development, where we have CSI programs, where we adopt schools. We have a database of all the non-profit organizations that would benefit from this, where we buy school uniforms in partnership with the tenants. So lastly, communication and reporting, so that at any given time, both the communities and ourselves are kept abreast of development. So these are the pillars, and we've been successful, and we've had no stoppages with the program. So lastly, what's next for TASIS? As you can see, Phase 1 and phase 1A, it's completed. Phase 2, as we are talking, it's sold out. We have a different problem at the Tshwane Automotive SZ where we have more investors than the available land. And quite soon, we're going to have to write letters of regret for some of the investors that have signed commitment letters, have signed term sheets, commercial agreements, wanting to move in that we're unable to accommodate. So phase 3, it's not available. However, we've received, because it's a portion of land that is privately owned, we've received a proposal from the landowners. The EXCO and members are engaging that proposal. And then there is a thinking then, as we are engaging, companies that are in the electric vehicle space. Will be hosting one of the biggest manufacturers in the world in 2 weeks from now in electric vehicles. They require a space. We are engaging the city so that we get that portion of land that we are earmarking as phase 4. We are engaged with that. That's the layout for phase 2, which is sold out. Lastly, we've commenced with phase 2. One of the anchor tenants, what you see, it's a Ford facility for aftermarket sequencing, where provincial government has already put forward 261 million. The DTIC has given us 923 million to kickstart phase 2. So we are commencing with appointed professional teams. We are proceeding and will be able to finish this in time. So in a nutshell, that's the process and our progress. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you very much. And then we come to the last presentation, which is the TDOT, State of the Township Economy.
Day. Should I start? Good afternoon, honorable members, members of the community, and senior officials in the department. My name is Matopani Masha. Part of the work that we do, we coordinate the implementation of the Township Economy Program in the department. So Township Economy Program, it's implemented by the province, but we coordinate in our group where we track certain implementation imperatives. And in terms of this brief, we were asked to look at the jobs impact across the group in terms of the programs that we are implementing. But as you have noticed, a lot of the presentations that our agencies implemented already included some of the projects that are in the townships where there is impact. So in some of the areas, I will not spend too much time because our agencies have already spoken about those. Just in terms of the journey to date, as you know, that the program started around 2014, where we started with condition campaigns. And after that, there was a development of the township economic revitalization strategy. And obviously in between, there were other projects, interventions that were put in place to try and enhance impact as well. And around about 2021, there was a decision that the TIRA must be a legislated mandate, meaning that it has to be legislated, and I thought most of you participated in that process in terms of developing the act. And then I'll come to other aspects as well. I just wanted to also just summarize some of the challenges that we've encountered in terms of the implementation of the program. One is issues around low investment in people and productive activities. We also have high levels of business informality in the townships, and also low levels of SMMEs in terms of participating in public procurement because of that informality. We also see, I will not go through all of them, but if also critical on the slide, is issues around poor economic infrastructure, which does not help in terms, for example, SMMEs that want to invest in manufacturing struggle to find suitable space for them to manufacture whatever they want to manufacture. So those are some of the things that we've been picking up over time. But also there were issues around, I think, compliance, but and funding support and access to market. So those are some of the things that in terms of the journey over time, we've sort of picked up as challenges. I think probably my colleagues would have also highlighted some of this. So we just summarized the information across the group in terms of this slide around impact of jobs. So if you look at the Township Economic Partnership Fund, I think as per the last quarter, the impact that was reported was about 7,000 or so jobs that was created through the Township Economic Partnership Fund as a program. And also in terms of the township infill residential and commercial development. So this is a program where landlords in the township would get access, support in terms of building backyard rental accommodation. A lot of these, I'm sure you would have seen in Tembisa, the impact has been in Tembisa and Kalfontein, Mamelodi in terms of the backroom program. That is the impact that has been created. And in terms of the sector and industry work over time, the impact has been about 6,812 jobs that were created. But just to indicate that just about 3,580 of those were gig or work opportunities as well. And of course, in terms of the partnership projects, where we've got partners where we are implementing, and I'll just show some of the slides where we're working with partnerships as well. And just to indicate that in terms of the Act, one thing I just want to mention critically is that when we look at our data, generally in the province, in terms of procuring from, and that is not just to indicate, it's not only the Department of Economic Development. I'm talking about all departments in the province that are supposed to, because it's a mandate of government. It's not a mandate of economic development, it's a mandate of government. So we are supposed to be procuring from township enterprises, generally, as part of our targets as well. But what we've picked up over the last 2-3 years is that the percentage across the board, it's between 12 to 15%. And in the last 2 years, I think the target was adjusted as well to about 60% as well. So those are some of the things that I just wanted to highlight also. And also there are issues around operationalization and regulation and the regulations. So what we just want to indicate is that there is a process of reviewing the Act, which will introduce what we call operationalize the Act, but also issues around developing regulations where they are necessary, because some of the pressing issues, even in the Act, you find that the mandate in terms of regulations lies elsewhere. So those are some of the things that I just wanted to emphasize. Here is just a snapshot in terms of the slide that I spoke about. So if you look at the breakdown in terms of sectors, you'll see that a lot of investment still goes into investment in property development, housing, food and beverage, services and transportation. As part of the investment, especially if you look at the contribution of the backyard infill residential or investment in rental properties in the townships. Chair, I would not go through this because I think my colleagues have already spoken a lot around this work in their respective slides, but I just want to emphasize one point. So in terms of the last mile project that we are implementing, in the last 2 years, we've had about 2,000 young people that have been trained and licensed through support that we've provided with our partners as well. And it's one of those projects that we are also looking at expanding. And also, just to emphasize what was not in the other slides, in the previous financial year, we also started looking at, part of the mandate was expanded to look at hostels as well, the provincial-owned hostels. We looked at, there's about 6 hostels where we've supported about 86 SMMEs with trading equipment, and those will include your George Koch, those hostels that belong to provincial government. But also part of the work we do with partners is that about 45 townships have been assisted with access to broadband, investment in terms of partnerships as well. We also have a program where we're looking at training young people in terms of cell phone repair. 146 have completed the program. And also in terms of what we call installation, repair, maintenance, about 70 of those have concluded it. But also we've got a cohort that has concluded a training program in welding, carpentry, and upholstery as well. So this is just an indication of the sector work over time in terms of summary of the jobs that have been created over time. Different sectors where there is a focus on incubation, on training and development. Over time in the last 5 years, these are some of the things that we've managed to put together that has a direct impact in the townships. And also a lot of the projects that we do, we do that through partners. So we have a partnership with Coca-Cola South Africa. And so far we've managed through that partnership to spend about 8 million and 165 jobs created. I'm sure as you drive into Tembisa, you'll see that other side of Tembisa next to the new mall. There are a few containers, there are about six or so. So that is part of the support that the department has provided in partnership with Coca-Cola to those entrepreneurs there that are selling in that area. And then in terms of Uber, to date, we also have a partnership with Uber, which links to the last mile, but also assisting with creating market access for township products. So about 600 of these young people have in terms of last mile delivery. There were also that have been onboarded. These are people who are selling different things. And yeah, so about 21 million directly invested in onboarding these new merchants as well, including promoting their one thing to be on these platforms, but you still need to be able to promote your product so that you can get markets. And then with 100 of those merchants have been onboarded on their marketplace. So these are people who are selling different products. Your bit they find is important for that platform. About 50 personal shoppers have been trained. This week we've got that program happening in Soweto as we speak. And then the 50 drivers that have been trained and licensed as well as part of the township program. But also in Ikuruleni, we've just started a program where we're identifying what we call local handcrafts products that we're assisting the guys to package their, basically issues around packaging, so that they can also start participating in what we call the e-commerce economy opportunities. I'll pause here, Chair. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. That's the last presentation. All right. So now I'm going to come, we're going to come to the last part of the meeting today, and that is where we allow you to provide us with questions, submit questions to the department and the agencies, and make any inputs that you would like as a community. So for those of you who would like to ask questions, can you just put up your hands, please? Thank you. Right, I see a couple of hands, on one hand on this side and about 5, 6, 7 on this side. Just, I do see your hand there at the back. Just keep your hands up, please, so that our personnel can just note that you want to speak. Right, we will start with questions from my right-hand side, so it's your left. And then we'll move over to the left-hand side, your right-hand side. Thank you. Can I ask you just to keep your questions concise and not to make them too long, because we're running out of time a little bit. So if you can just keep your questions sharp and short. Thank you very much.
Thank you. My name is Soli Masego from Thokoza, Eguruleni. I'm manager Usuke Wanyasa support group for people living with a disability. My first question is in the gambling, Gauteng gambling board. I didn't hear when they mentioned about NPO, because the NPO like I'm running is for disability, but we haven't got any funding to buy any gadget for people who live with a disability. Even now, I'm supposed to come with the people who live with a disability, but there's no support from Gauteng gambling board. The second one from tourism. As I'm staying in Thokoza, there's no tourism route from Katoras as such. There was Inyoni being vandalized. I don't see any transparency from the tourism. Second is from GEP, JEP. I hear that they say in Thokoza they did make development for small enterprise. But I'm staying in Thokoza, but I don't know those enterprise. That's my surprise. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next person.
Good afternoon. My name is Moho. I am from Katlehong. I represent the Katlehong Youth Office. My question is, how does one become part of all those about? Because I'm in Katlehong, I saw the presentation, you are mentioning Katlehong, but we also don't see. So I'm asking, how does one become part and see all the MPs coming to our centers? They promise us all these things you are talking about here, but none of them have been delivered. One, we were asked to submit our youth year plan. None of that we got help from. So I would like to get answers from that. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that question. Next person, then we go on to this side now. I just want to make sure everybody's happy on this side. We've covered you, right? Okay, let's go on to your right-hand side. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Charles Njapa. I'm a farmer from Ivory Park and also in Tembisa. My question is based on environmental and dams. Here we are at the those dams are so dirty. We are in a farm we are in a farm called Witfontein Farm, whereby they say to us we are the lease land users. We are in an incubation for a period of 5 years. So my question is, how can you incubate us, yet you don't have a conducive environment? In that farm, we have a borehole whereby it was installed 2023. That borehole doesn't pump water. Secondly, that farm doesn't have a security measures. We have palisade fence. Those palisade fence, there's gaps that are there. TDAT is busy providing us with seedlings or every tool that we need, but they invested in where there's no security measures. Can you please help us to secure the land, because of we are going to plant for the people who are not plowing. The last issue is here in Ivory Park. I just hear all the presentation that I hear. They are talking about other townships. Here in Ivory Park, I see the lot. I don't see the development at all. For instance, here we are facing a challenge whereby we have a youth that is got not in a right direction, whereby the schools are not in the conducive, friendly environment. That's why we are facing gangsterism in our school. We are urging, since you are here in this first session, you as a portfolio committee, to adopt the school of Tshwane because of those classes that are there. You can take a tour. It's not conducive for the children that they can learn. Can you please invest to our youth, because of after 5 years, we won't see people here. The youth is going to get in the trucks. Please help us with the community of Ivory Park. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your questions. Next person, thank you.
Afternoon, everyone. I'm comfortable speaking in isiZulu. Eva Wakashabang. Okay. Hello, everyone. Eva Wakashabang from Sebenza Mkiti Construction CC, Tshwane in Davidson. Ngithanda nefethile. No identify kanjani, number 1. Okwesi-2, ngibona ngathi yonke department abhebe sithe lona abenefitile sithembisa. And thina, that means we are on the other side of Ekurhuleni, because thina sibenefitanga nix. Ngicela i-department, wonke ama-department akavakashele le Ekurhuleni engapha. I need a Davidson and i-Tshwane. I-GEP, i-JEP, i-JEP in a problem yokusifuna ama-requirements amaningi when we apply for funding. And ithatha isikhathi eside ukubuya kuwe, yet you need into leyo manje. Sicela ukuthi i-JEP iphakamisa amakawusi kulo ndawo leyo. Siyabonga.
Good day, everyone. I am Nontantla Sikosana Mayege. I'm from Ekurhuleni in Ward 109. My question or my concern is that the government officials, they are good to talk when it's events like this, and they give all the promises. what I would urge the government to do is to have foot soldiers, officials that would be appointed to be participant in the communities and know how they live, so that they can be able to come back with solutions to you guys to say, this is how things need to be done. Because I see the government is trying, but they are not doing things the way they are supposed to be, because it's short-term programs that they're giving, they're not having long-term sustainability. Like now, if you can look at the EPW and all these other projects, it's like one-year contracts, and then thereafter the youth is left without any jobs and they're hopeless. And you know, our youth is so hopeless in such a way that there is no solution for them to be mentored. Even if you can give programs, you need to start with mentorship for mind re-engineering. You need to start bringing mentors who are going to mentor them, to help them to get over the traumas that they've gone through. For example, you give out the fundings, yet those fundings are falling into people who don't even know that management, because they've experienced their traumas and they think that money is theirs. For example, when you do the money for skill government wants, it's because of the issue that the people that give people those monies, they need to mentor them, give them, make sure that their minds and spiritually and emotionally they are sound to carry over those.
Sanbanani, I'm really shocked and very speechless about the report. According to my understanding, I'm thinking the department is reporting yes, but on the ground, there's nothing that is happening. I'm from Kathoras. I'm hearing people here saying they are from Kathoras as well, but the programs that they were promised never happened. I'm from Kathoras. My colleague said, what is the criteria for the department to identify their organizations or companies? I'm one of the people who say key achievement since 2022, yet I've submitted my documents from. You are reporting. Why are you reporting programs that have never existed? Never been identified, but my company was identified, and even now there's nothing on the ground that happened. I'm not a beneficiary of anything, yet my documents were taken by the department. So I am very speechless, honestly. Thank you.
Sanbonani dumelang absheni. O under Pamridge. Kutlo bontate ba bua ka di billions. Bohloko bo bong le bua ka di billions tse le dintshang le dintshetsa rona re di thuse bafutsana ba tshwanang le rona, mare lona le dinema banditi a reke dintlo tse durang, a reke dikoloi tse durang, a reke matlo a tata tšhate ka tšhelete ya rona. So ntate ntho re kopang e le rona re kopa le re thuse ka dishopo tsa rona tse ba ne re tshwantse be re fumane ditšhelete tsa rona, ne re tshwantse be gona jwale ke bua so go tletse ka dishopong tsa rona, mare ha o rekise selo o na le letswai le one, but all the time tšhelete ya tswa go thwa e tla ho rona, ha e fihle ho rona ntate thusang batho. And re batla this December re be re fumana tšhelete ya rona or grocery ntate batho. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We will take that up further. Okay, there's a hand at the back.
To all the panel of Gauteng legislature and all the audience. I'm Cornelius Nyawuza from Guatemala. I'm a person with a disability. My first question is that I want to know the true economic department. Sike some invite a Guatemala to request a training for people with disabilities. Ukufika kwabo basitshela ukuthi istipend abanaso, transport abanayo, ukudla abanako. I-training is a Randburg. First, eqaleni bangibiza bathi ngiyobheka indawo e-Fentech training e-Randburg. Mangifika lapho bona bathi no, abanayo transport bona ukuthi bangamprovide. Mina mangicela umasipala wami wasekuruleni ukuthi provide ngemoto ngiyobona leyo ndawo esothenelwa kuyo. Ngaqasha imoto ngakhipha 500 ngayobheka leyo ndawo. Oyi-one wase economic development wathi uzoza ngoba besiyo assessa indawo ukuthi i-disability izoba ne-access yokuthi benze leyo training. Ekufikeni kwami lapha eRandburg akayekho wafika wase I don't know ukuthi mhlambe i-discrimination or isithathwa ngale ndlela leyo ukuthi maybe asenangqondo or whatever because ngalimala because ngasqasha imoto 500 rand i-economic azange ngifike eJohannesburg ngabuya ngabhalela ubulumko nelana nayi challenge ibhekene nayo ne-economic development kwaba ukukhana besa eKwathema yile chance basitshela ukuthi bona abana transport abana kudla abana stipend so from Guatemala uya eRandburg ngemali egrant sizoyenza kanjani lo training. Question yami yileyo. Number 2, ngiyacabanga ukuthi department osi considerayo thina ama disabilities is social development. Because masinabo bona bayakhona ukusinikeza amathenda. Even now i-director yakhona yase procurement ize yathi please zamani ukuthi nangabe niletha ama business card abhalwe phezulu ukuthi people with disabilities so that if ever angena ku procurement ku supply chain management babone ukuthi le ma company lawo ama disabled so that bazokwazi ukuthi kube lula ukuthi basinikeze imisebenzi. Even economic development etamisethema ngayibuza i-procurement ukuthi so now thina esinama company si submita kanjani but bazobuya kithi until today azange babuye nalo training leyo sacela i-request yokuthi okay fine andinayo transport sicela at least incwadi evela ku economic development eshoyo ethi nayi i-training sabanikeza asina transport asina kudla for bona. Seyoncwadi lesi sizoyithatha thina sihlanganise ne NPO organizations bale incwadi siye kuba doctor whatever sifune i-donation ukuthi sibhadale leyo moto le khona ukuthi bangasibhalela leyo ncwadi leyo iprove ukuthi sithole i-training. I thank you.
Dumelang. Ke Thabo Msetla from 78 under the father Makamo. Nakinali follow-up question. There was umama la athi Thembisa bayenzele abasenzeli next. Ngifuna ukuza lapho. Thina abasenzeli next and then mangathi uyabheka laphana izinto ebathi bazakhile. Le emva kweview asesudifeli. Even body crasher futhi bathomola fast. They are wasting our money and then they are coming here to report ntolo ngayiyo. Lang understand? So iskabaro baitsa divide and rule code community insana bari koso way to they are doing 1 2 3 4. The reason why more is because of bachaba accountable collection salona. That's about lotlotsa di follow up on maralize 1 2 3 4 by katatlile and then more let next. Ivory Park acceptable account. Alert next do officials. Lona le parasmatic the suit 1 2 3 4 now the company ourselves we are not working. It seems like the mebereko eloring enale matla enale zaga ya bonagala le fa di comrades tsa lena di na le matlo Rona sa rena ko patela di-tax. Re etse lotse kaofela, re make sure our paperwork tsa rena di ba straight. But then o tla apply, o tla ba re there. E se tšho o be re there, o ka se kry-e mmereko. La understand? So ne re kgopela gore criteria le berekisang ho hira di-company e be transparent. Akere? And then taba dikolo le yona re kgopela le prioritize. Ona be le re tlhasela ke makula, nkabe re bereka nkabe re iketsa di-shopo mo. Makula re rekisa dilo tsa ho bona. Each and every time re tla plan tse re koba bana ba batho re ma-Africa must go as if it was xenophobic. But then because of we don't have money to start our own business, re rekisetse community tsa rena dijo tse di tlhokileng. Lona la di tseya la di ja le nna ka di-suit ko di-suburb kwa you come here to report into le goreng a zanga la etsa lo etsa. Nto re kgopelang o na le ausi boletse mo a re kgopela re deploy people who are going to be on the ground ba tlo kgona ho reporta ntho le goreng ba e bona each and every day le rona mo groundong. So I submit.
Sanibonani, ngibulisa indlu yonke nabaphathi abahleli lapha phezulu. Igama lami nguDikeledi Ralutanda, ngu-director we-company called Mukona Zotes, ngi-manufacture amakhandlela. Ngizoqondisa kakhulu ku-GEP, inhlimi ibuhlungu kakhulu njengoba ngime ngalesikhathi. Ngibonile ama-figures la mani washo, kodwa wangigculisi, ngizobeka ne-story sami. Last year, ngo-February, chair of chair kusese umam Nomonde Zulu ngicela ukuthi ngicela umshini ngaprintha presentation yami wajabula wathi uzongithumelela ama form vele wakwenza following day wangithumelela ama form nama requirements wonke ngasenda everything nama Linda ngathola I call from Ejimistin ngoba ngibuye eKatle home mangithola I call from Jimistin bangifilisa ama form ngasenda everything abanike zonke izinto bebazinida. Okay, ngabuyela emuva. Mangibuyela emuva bengilibele ngiba follow up every month ukuthi application yami I how far. Kwathi ngoJune mangizoba follow up bathi kimi application yami baye bathumela ukuthi iintern ingifone. Ngibanikeze ama phone number, 2 phone numbers ne email address. Ngathi okay, ama phone number wami ahlala on 24/7. Mangisho kanjalo kuba bathi intern iphone ngathi okay. I report ebonisa ukuthi intern inikeze iboss yayo ukuthi ifonele mina angitholakalanga iphi. Azange ngitholi report. Ngathi why beningangisendeli email? Angizange ngitholi response. Kwathiwa okay kwa ku budget elandelayo ngoba umamsizakele wayecela ukuthi ibe quicker iapplication yami ngoba wathi ngicela ukuthi ibe quicker awuthole umshini umama lo. Okay, kwatholakala ukuthi ke akusayenzeki ngaleyo financial year ka 2023 ukuthi ngithole umshini wamakhandlela. This year mangizo submit i-quotation yami last year ngo February it was 53,000 and bengi apply grant ngathi no it's fine. I-grant I know ukuthi it's 50,000 but ngizo manager ukuthi ngi-raise 3,000 bese ngiya top up for i-supply. This year they called me on March GEP Ejimistin. Ngafila another application. Mangifila another application bacela ilokhunja bacela i-quotation. Ngabanikeza i-quotation ye 78,000. And akusi fault yami ukuthi I-supplier I-increase ilokhunja I-price ngoba mina ngangisubmit last year. I-approve 2 weeks back bathi mele ngisayine ngizosayina I have to top up I-38,000. Ngathi guys ngizekini ngikhulekile ngoba umshini ongusebenzisayo umshini wama-plate oyenza amakhandlela 1000 ngizoyithathaphi ngoba nidile I-process from nina 3,000. But no, there is nothing we can do. Yi grant. Ngoba ugu grant 8,000 ningipeni I-loan, ngining loan. But no, asena mali, njoba singasena mali, we have to go to application yakho si scratch, sizoyiqala afresh. ngathi nizoyiqala afresh nini bathi abazi ukuthi kuzoba into yanini. Kumanje nginama-email wabo wonke from emuva kuMamZulu until ngicela niyiphuthe in writing. Bayiphutha in writing. Inzoyicela kuba P. Ngicela nibuyeleni kuma officials guys bayasidelaya ngoba akuna lokhunja akuna skhathi ukuthi mawenze application yakho isikhathi esingaka. Iyadonsa ama lokhunja ama price maswa increaseile, it's your baby and application yakho iya decline, and we are trying hard as SMEs ukuthi sipushe ngoba ilokhunja employment rate very high. Ikhulile sizama ukuthi sizogwema ukuthi sikhona ukuthi if thole lo mshini ngiyakhona ukcreate iemployment kubantwana abahleli. Asikhona ukwenza ngoba asirecognizewa, asibhekela abantu mabahleli ema-officeini umsebenzi wabo abawuhloniphi, abawuthandi. Mabawuthanda umsebenzi wabo ama-officials. Ekseni emsebenzini mele bacabanga ukuthi ngizosebenza, angafisi umuntu ukuthi azojoina abantu iqueue ye-unemployment rate. Akawuthanda umsebenzi wakhe awuhloniphe, basenzele ngendlela eright, basirecognize, and izinto zabo bazama ukuziphusha ukuthi zibe agent. Bangahlali lapha bahudula inyawo umuntu athi ukufonela angakufonelanga, mawuthi ucela iproof angakuniki iproof. Inhliziyo yami ibhlungu ngoba kumanje ngimile ngisaphusha ngalo mshini wama-plate oyenza amakhandlela ayi-6. I can't do nothing. I-application yami bangitshela ukuthi kumanje bazoyicrasha. So ngizocela ukuthi abaphathi buyelane ema-ofisini niyenze ukuthi ama-officials bayenze umsebenzi wabo. Mabangasukudlala ngathi singama-South Africans, masingasukutreatwa ngathi singama-outsiders. Ama-outsiders ayabenefita, thina sibenefiti. Ngiyacela namhlanje ukuthi nami njengoba ngikhuluma lento le ngicela ukuthi ningifonele ngizohlala nami phansi ngithola umshini, ngicela umshini ngifuna ukusebenza.
Thank you. We will come back to you on that.
Dumelang kaofela and the community as a whole. I have few questions, which are only 6 questions. All departments have spoken about millions and billions they have spent and trillions they have spent. But only 3,333 permanent employment have created. That's a joke, a very big joke. And also, I will leave it to the department to elaborate on that. And also, I have another question. CIPC have 643,853 of companies that have been deregistered. But you're talking about millions and billions and trillions that you have invested. Where did that money go? Now, I will leave it to the departments to elaborate on that also. Number 3, gambling organization or company, what? You are encouraging the community to gamble and to gamble very carefully. Can you please elaborate on that? Because there's no funding, there's no sponsorship, there's no investment, there's no loan, there's nothing. But you are encouraging the community to gamble. Can you please come and elaborate on that? And also, there's a leader who talked about training individuals for cell phone repair. Instead of training such, how about you train individuals who want to invent cell phone, who want to invent cars, who want to invent clothes, who want to invent something new that can support the community so that we can have a community development and innovation movement. I will leave to the department to elaborate on that also. Now, you talked about you support LGBTQ, and women, which shows inequality. Because most of your jobs and funding and investments, they go there. And your trainings, they go there. And also, when it comes to disability people, you have no support at all because it's only 1% since 2022, 2023, and 2024. And then the last question. There are NPCs, NPOs, and startup companies and NGOs that are dying, not operating at all. And there are a lot of owners here for the NPOs and the NPCs and the PTYs, and they are closing and they are being deregistered with lack of funding, financing, and also any interaction. So can you please, I will leave it to the department also to elaborate on that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can I just see the last few hands? We need to close off. So can I just see the back there? I think there's 3 hands there, one in front. And then on this side, I do see your hands. It's about 5. Okay. These are the last hands. We really need to close off the questions, and we need to give the departments opportunity to answer your questions. And what we will also do is we will ask our committee's personnel to go to each person and get your personal details so that the committee can take on board your question that you've posed today, and we can make sure that they are also answered, especially personal situations, that the department do come back to you with an answer and a solution. Okay, thank you very much. Next person.
Manginibingelele lapho phambili nihlalo nonke okhulumayo unathi wakancala obuya eKatlong ewodini lase 56 ngimelana ngithi ngizwile konke enikhulumile okusakhaye eSouth Africa kodwa mina ngibona isimanga eSouth Africa ukuthi siyadlalana manje ngizokhipha umphako kini lapho phambili isimo esesabakithi eKatlong e56 sinendawo eyavula kwathiwa i-license department hub ngo2019 le ndawo le yamanje wafawa inhlabathi kuphela manje yagujwa abotsotsi badlalela khona abokhansela bakhona bas ignore tari ukuthi ngabe kuyenzeka lokho mina ngise 56 kodwa imali yase South Africa ihambile singazi ukuthi lase department yaseKatlong
Sanibonani. Igama lami uNeo wakamtawu ngiyaziwa ngecompany enkulu ebizwa ukuthi #1 Makeze. We manufacture juices from Ekatlehong. So Mobi Ekatlehong, Palm Ridge, Sprite, I'm here. Okay, it seems like Sizela Mangala, they have just wasted our time. Because, I'm one person, may I even mention names? I'm glad Mr. Mashama Tupan is here. Firstly, sizokhuluma indaba yokuthi kunama programs enithi niyawaranila sizabantu akiki program eKatlehong engena erana. You know very well ukuthi the service provider likhethile iFamily Tree Holdings ayiki into eyenzayo. Ngize ngabafaka ku media because of that. Bebe trend nje for 2 months back. Because we know ukuthi bathembisa manga. They came to our townships, they took our company documents, they have submitted those documents wherever they were submitting, where singers. Because according to me, when you submit your company documents, you must receive an OTP to confirm that you have submitted an application or whatever. But none of those things is geza. You came to our townships, you painted with a green color. Nama signature with department to have assisted these small businesses. Assisted where? Because you just came with a green color. NSS was keep. You must make it very clear. And this matter was in the house of the Department of Economic Development, but they did nothing. Only now the acting HOD made means ukuthi uyasilalela. Because Masha Matupan, even on the emails, was playing delaying tactics. He's there. I'm not gossiping about him. So, guys, what I can tell you is you come forward with the reports. They even failed to come and make it. I've been asking for a reference number, a case number of the investigation. None of those. Being threatened to be killed for going to media. I've raised that issue. 5,178,000 doing something else. They bought shares to the very same shops. They own 51%. They own 51%. If you can go to Kagiso, you go to Togoza. Togoza West, it's not even a distribution center, it's a spaza shop. So they're now competing with us. Instead of helping us, they are competing with us. I'm still saying it, they can kill me anytime, I don't have a problem. But one thing I can tell you is that company documents because it's been happening for a long time. So what I can say you are lying. Because each and every now and then kuna complaints ngawo lama service providers and you don't even make means. My matter now, it's in your office. Twice, Masha Matupan, you were invited to the meeting, you did not attend. Twice. But we were there in that meeting, and we're still going to make a follow-up meeting about the meeting that we had last week. So guys, what I can tell you is don't be afraid to fight for what belongs to you. Because these people, they're using our company documents to benefit themselves. So I still wish we can stand together and fight this corruption. I'm not saying anyone is corrupt, but I'm saying wherever there's corruption, we must fight together. Issue of my service providers, I think now, I'm about to close it up. Service providers reference number stoop. How can you the family tree tender 100 million toilet 20 rand? You spoke about the compliance. Where did you get that report? They don't qualify to get this funding not to house 100 million. You said 80%. Where did you get those numbers? And another issue is that you said now, Imali said dispersed now as we speak. But a meeting in last week, you were not there. The people who are holding the money, they said Imali Konisheli somewhere. We even asked somewhere where. So don't come and fool us here. Don't come and play with us. We are adults. We are South Africans. We are business people. We are as smart as you spawn and Jesila. And we are not as dumb as we look. So please don't play mind games now. We did not waste our time to come here to listen to lies. So that report, you know, it's not a clean report. There is an alleged allegations about the service provider. What have you done? What have you done? Even today, what have you done? Because they even took me to court because of exposing all these things. I'm attending a case on the 29th of October. They even came to me. They said they want peace because they never thought I will get the support that I got. And the matter, I put it to the legislature. And the legislature also had their own findings that were hidden. That family tree lied about the distribution centers, that they have hired 23 people while they hired only 3. I'm sorry, 8, not 3, 8. So please, let's not lie to our people. And I'm shocked to Konil Guzala because when you're always busy. So, our companies, I qualify, I'm a company way to and a compliance. And as long as it's registered, it doesn't have a compliance. You as a department, you must make means to sibe a compliance proper. Please Because you are supposed to be working in municipalities so that you can have a proper compliance. Namanje, I told my members of my shop, if by any chance you figure my inspectors to your shop, as long as Nyagabatolint expired, because of our permit, we will fight. Because you know what my office in they always offline. So utimzoitata api compliance, you always offline. Ngiyabonga.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Before the next person starts, Tabu, Victoria, can you just get the gentleman's details? Because the committee is investigating these matters at the moment, so we want all information that we can have. If you have any information, please give it to us. So next person, please.
I am a fashion designer. Each and every year, the reports. So I wanted us to report as the community. We are the government of it. Why? So my question goes to the department. There's no one in the department. Okay, wasiza is SMME, SFO, ufiga HEP, back akusase yakho ukuthi asize umuntu omnyama ufika ku NYDA sekuyi business yabo abasasupport abantu aba ready to deliver. Thank you very much.
Right, I think
Lindile Madisha, what are we doing with zoning? Who is supposed to zone us? How are we supposed to operate business? You want us to zone, rezone, what are you calling it? The other thing is, if we're not operator a business, but maguza etembisa kutiwa rezone a company that's going to give back to the community, checking all the business that side. Please help us with rezoning. I think we're rezoning as fast as yesterday. Thank you.
Uthi singakombani sithi ithembisa ini siyikuruleni sonke bona laba abaphezulu bajike babuye bazothenga ama RDP thina umzonsundu futhi enye into engimangaze kakhulu futhi namhlanje yangicaka kokugcina bona laba abaphezulu the right umuntu omnyama wanze waqala wabamba iball pen or laptop ushintshela umuntu omnyama ningakhohlwa la nibuya khona imisebenzi ayikho abantwana bethu badla inyawo phela ngaphandle izikolo ziyawo abantwana benza into ezisinakuzikuza azibhekwe kanti kungani mangabe kungunento ekuthiwa izoyenziwa kungabi ne follow up ama backroom bayawakha thina ama backroom sizakhela nje buyelane emasisweni buyelane ebuntwini buyephi ubuntu ungathi ngoba sohlala emasabab sikhohle ukuthi ubuye lokushini
kahle kahle concern yami la ngizokhuluma ngeGauteng Gambling Board ethiwe online what mina ngithi waye bangazibuya ama small businesses uzothola ekasi ama car wash le bahlezi batarget abantu aba rich nani this why nizohlezi nihlangabezana nani nama so bengicela ukuthi I part of advertising yenu inganisebenzela ukuthi nithole ama clients ama customers ndele imali ukuthi ayintwana thenga izinto zokugeza lapho mawuthi ucheck because of 600 rand kumele nizama ukukhuphula imali ukuthi at least 2.5 angeke usebenzise
sanibonani mphakathi igama umncedisi running LED in my ward, also an activist and a businessman. Plea number 2, can we get all of the presentation that was presented today? The gentlemen and the women who spoke today want to engage US department so that we can grasp on the opportunities that we have presented, that they have given also to Katoras or Fosloras at large. And it can't be that there's only meetings for legislature and other departments, but we don't get the opportunities that are grow, because I've seen also the infrastructure that was presented, the gentleman from Gauteng Growth and Development, because now we'll be frustrated and go to those sites and require for work, you are chased out. We have industrialists, the program that we have presented lastly, we don't see it, where is it going? Company that they have benefited from you guys. But we welcome the presentation, but please guys, to get the zoning for my car wash and also to do other businesses there. I'm asking for, let's get the opportunities and that so that tomorrow we can speak like you guys.
Handlalwe ke dula mo Tembisa ke tshuile how to Tembisa e a thusiwa. I don't know how ntate wa gap ke yo mo tax clearance ke abafa bi ke abafa ke ntwe ba ba ke present ntwe ya ke bue ba e thabela ha o tlamele ba re fe ditšhelete ba re thuse ka ba ebile nna ke ba ihlele ke ne ke na no ba tla tla batho ba go gap ba etseng I think ba itseba go gap ha ebe ha ke force ke ne ke ba thusa go thusa ba ba feng ba dulang kae go ba Tembisa re alla re le bangata re le batho ba bomme le ska la fa tšhelete wa tšhelete re tlo e ja re rekele equipment re tlamele re sebedise ho re etseng re youth bana ba tswang sekolong ba ska tla le naha ba sebedise ntwe ho dikoloi di motsatsing lena ba tla go jetsa makano ya thotse thuso ke tswa gap ke tswa sida ke tswa IDC guys it's a business hey you have to come with an idea ha ke tla ke presenter ba re nna ke etseng re ba ise kae ko kae ka ba le ha le ditso sola ba di tile ke ntse di sutu re lapile o nka floor ka tlungwetsa pie wa rekisa wa nka hape tšhelete no reka phofo bana ba and nka batho bana ba ka ntle mapakistani are everywhere a rekisa and ka bohloko bane matla ke sana ona bana ke sebeletsang each and every yona tse ke tlwetsa
Vuga Taki, Vuga. Me the scars on my face. I sacrificed my life as a young boy from Tembisa. Ability. As some of the leaders said, we're supposed to have foot soldiers. If we don't want to see Kurulega will be anyway. Express ourselves of how capable we are. I can't define business. Business is an idea that you put into practice in the form of selling a product. Profit, that is where earnings come from. Yes, if we don't watch I'm a South African, they are lazy. No. How did we stand up in our young age? And to prove to I did take the product to SABS. I'm not only manufacturing this product that I'm wearing the t-shirt for. I'm also manufacturing another product. It's also SABS too much. Because now, look, the system that we've been fighting for is the system that we're supposed to school with. Youth in I've got it in the database and everything. I've got the youth department they must train youth so that they must know what is business. So that when they I'm 51 years. Because I'm liaising with the social development. Challenge is that youth might not youth go too much. So this cookie that's in a match.
Thank you very much. It's been asked. When you ask a question, and us as committee are aware of this and we are working on it, but please keep it short because I see some people of the community is already leaving and I don't want to. And you can send all your questions to him as well if you still have more questions. And we will, as a committee who has oversight over the department, follow up the...
Sanbonani to the chairperson and Ward Committee Health and Social in Ward 47. I am khulume kakhulu ngebusiness in construction abantu sebakhulumile. Kunabo mama la engihamba nabo be agriculture and thina as ama ward committees abalawe agriculture okhulume nge-backyard farming. Samobilize abantu eFosloras department eGemiston sibacelela nje ama seeds eshoyo ukuthi leyo land bayithathephi. I encourage them ukuthi no bane land bafuna nje ama seeds senzele iletter for that land. Ukhansela uthi yena kana right yokuphana ngela ukuthi singasetshenziswa because abantu baphinde babuye kuyithi back ntwini khona bathola esayidini ama-tools and those ukuthi naba bantu banendawo bayenza i-agriculture, they need seeds, namatungu iphinde ibuye kithi ayibuyeli kubo. Thank you.
Ama-leader wethu ngiyaxolisa ngeke nginibingelele ngoba nana nisibingeleni nesibona ngathi asisingabantu. Into engizoyibuza ukuthi I benefit in next. There's nothing that is happening in Ivory Park. We hijack Ivory Park. Ivory Park iphenduka iLagos. Ngoba abasebenzi babona ukuthi into engcono kumele bayithengise ama-drugs. Ngiyabonga.
Questions in so that the department can respond. And as I said, if there are any questions, that's the department to see that you get your answers. And we will display the email at the end of it. I've made notes of every speaker, so I do have my own notes, which I will carry into the committee as well. They will be able to. Then we will make sure we follow up. But we will hand over then to the HOD to respond to the questions. Thank you very much, HOD.
I want to let somebody know. The valid will happen next week. Same question. So let's cut somebody. Brasoli or you must fund just to further explain or basebesa joa. Brasoli. Batla very low. Or one thing ever tahalang or government will choose. Why sometimes the two summer we aim like a one way. So wabatala mamela kitla arabo so bunton to bua ba government masha ntwe hulu mo meeting wa corona le premier coast Ivory Coast area rona le bangwe are full attention Ivory Park opportunities chamo Ivory Park and see how best can government work le tsoelo ne ba reng rona ba Ivory Park hangata dintho di etsala somewhere di fitlo road am kho o buile ka ntho ya batjha hore batjha ba tswa hore ba thole di service ba teng batho ba government can explore hangata motho wa apply ba tsenya le bitso la hae a ba le nna ke apply la fokol ha o ta ba mafela re nna ka thola sepe moro mmotsa o ba file dipampiri tsa hao a ra ka ba khona o ba okay are you ensure government had problems. Bra Charles, le famille. No, it's non vola. It's non vola. It's non vola. And maybe I get to amo. L'intware ba agriculture. Kile theory. Ntota di tools, ntota di seedlings. Le kono humamela ofitla o. Urba di jeb. Linalo alla office jeb mo Ivory Park. Sa government take ofela mo 1 weekend. To ma little bota di potso because hala tsona we. Osnon Tandla. But to back up Wamaka, no good speaking fella, what I am saying, only backup, other response our government defeated Pilalo Namo. Short term programs, sometimes like government gets some savage or Batsaba never routers help them. In 20 years, and I'm challenging to you, Lale Kampota Tawazaka, Maragli Blele, one more thing that into it's hard to explain to them that you are part of them. Bratabo Museta or Gorna, nothing is happening. Okay, Itlamoped. Itlamoped here.
Can I just ask the members of the public to give their OG so that I can see you and recognize you, so that we can have order. But before we do that, let's just get the feedback as a committee as well. Remember, it's our job that we oversight over the government, okay? And this committee, it's our job to make sure that they do their job. You can go ahead.
Yeah, I was saying. And there's also, if there are questions that cannot be answered here, the difficulty of saying you can't leave until you have answered. JEP is here, for instance. JEP must. This is what we can do And they can also promise you when can they come back. They must help them to get the story. So a lot of other issues were about colleagues are here. Marsha is here, colleagues from behind there. Some of you have met them, and I promise you that as we met last meet and deliver what you said we should do. Chair, let me not waste of time. If colleagues, people are here, they want us, we will be.
Right, for people to send their follow-up questions. I've been advised that we need to close the meeting, unfortunately now, because lunch is being served. There will be a lunch. I don't want you to think that we do not respect you at all, properly, in this community. So what I will try, where we will bring the department will then say, you can see what has happened and has not happened as yet, what are still in this community then. So you are more than welcome. And having said that, then I think Anna, he's our head coordinator of the committee. So you can address all matters to him if you want in the email as well. So your telephone numbers and so forth, all your contact details. That we come back with answers to your questions and resolve all of your problems.